Subjectively, the engineer role in Hell Let Loose is one of the most important classes inside of the game. Members with the engineer role are a vital part of the team's overall defensive standpoint inside of the game. With their equipment and tools, the engineer has the ability to effectively hold down and fortify the front lines, as well as providing essential resources to the commander. This, in turn, has the effect of slowing the enemy's advance while providing crucial cover and resources to the team. I personally enjoy using this class due to their importance and versatility inside of the game. Thank you for watching and joining me in my guide that covers everything about the engineer role inside of Hell Let Loose. Before I begin speaking about the details of the engineer role, I just want to clarify the purpose of this guide. This is a guide designed to cover an account of my personal experiences inside of the game and using the engineer role. I'm not trying to imply or otherwise suggest that this is the best way to play the game. We each have different playstyles and how we operate inside of the game. With that being said, this guide is designed to cover information related to the engineer role, as well as some tips and tricks that I've personally learned throughout my time on Hell Let Loose. Starting off with a basic overview of the class, the engineer has the ability to place down blueprints and build certain structures inside of the game. Most of these structures are defensive in nature and are designed to provide fortification and defense to cover key tactical locations. With enough supplies and time, the engineer has the ability to turn a sector strong point into a defensive fortress, with the fortifications that they can build and upgrade. Aside from these fortifications, engineers are the only role that can build resource nodes, which is arguably the most important buildable in the game, right next to outpost and garrison respawn points. Resource nodes are items that, once built, provide resources to the commander every minute. I'll talk about these resource nodes and what the commander can do with said resources in a few moments. With that being said, the engineer role is the only role that can build these resource nodes, so it's one of the most important responsibilities as an engineer. Before I discuss the details of resource nodes and other fortifications, let's quickly cover the actual weapons and equipment that's used by the engineer role. The engineer class has a few different loadouts, but unlike the other classes that I've covered previously, this is an example of where one faction has more loadouts for the engineer role than the others. For Germany and the Soviet Union, the engineer role has two separate loadouts. However, the United States has 3 loadouts for their engineer instead of 2. For all factions, the first loadout is automatically unlocked, and the second loadout opens at engineer level 3. With this being said, the United States specifically has a third loadout that opens at engineer level 6. In addition, the weapons and equipment for these loadouts vary from faction to faction, so I'm going to do my best to cover all of them. So now let's discuss each of these loadouts in detail. The first loadout, which is unlocked automatically, is called the Standard Issue loadout. Regarding primary weapons, it's pretty standard for all 3 factions. Germany and the Soviet Union have their standard infantry bolt-action rifles, the Kar-98K and the Mosin-Nagant 9130 respectively. Instead of a rifle, the United States is equipped with an M1 carbine. Each of these weapons come with 12 reloads. The engineer role does not carry a secondary weapon. The main pieces of equipment for the Standard Issue loadout are the wrench and the hammer. The wrench is used to place blueprints, or basically an outline, for whatever they intend to build. Once the blueprint is placed on the ground, they can use the hammer to build or upgrade the item provided that there are adequate supplies nearby. The Standard Issue loadout is also equipped with a blowtorch. The blowtorch is used to be able to repair the damage on a tank in the field without having the tank to return to the back of the map for headquarters or looking around for another repair station. The engineer role can actually build repair stations if needed. However, the blowtorch is portable and doesn't require supplies to use, unlike fortifications and other building objects. Engineers are also equipped with mines. For the Standard Issue class, engineers have both AP, which is anti-personnel, and AT, which are anti-tank mines. The anti-personnel mines can be effectively used on choke points or other areas, such as doorways and trench systems. They will explode whenever an enemy crosses over them. Anti-tank mines can be used on roads, fields, or wherever you feel a tank or other vehicle would pass through. The mine will explode whenever an enemy vehicle passes over it. This can either damage the tracks or destroy the vehicle entirely. With both of these mine systems, they will not explode if friendly infantry or vehicles cross over them, so you don't need to worry about friendly fire. However, it's still a good idea to attempt to hide or otherwise conceal these mines the best you can, since the enemy can see them if they are looking closely. Finally, each of these loadouts are equipped with 2 bandages. which are able to stop yourself or another teammate from bleeding if hit by shrapnel or other small arms fire. The second class for every faction that is unlocked at level 3 is called the Sapper loadout. The Sapper loadout is a bit different from the standard issue in terms of weapons that they carry, although the equipment across all 3 factions are similar with some exceptions. Regarding weapons, for Germany, the Sapper loadout is equipped with the MP40 submachine gun. For the United States, the primary weapon is the new model of 1897 Winchester shotgun, and finally, the Soviet Union is equipped with the same Mosin Nagant rifle. Each of these weapons have 6 reloads. This class still carries anti-personnel mines, however, instead of an anti-tank mine, this class carries a satchel charge. A satchel charge is a portable explosive device that can be attached to an enemy vehicle or structure. Once attached, there is an adjustable timer that can be set, providing adequate time to move away from the satchel charge before it explodes. Satchel charges are excellent at clearing obstructions from a point, such as enemy barbed wire, fortifications, and tank barricades, as well as inflicting considerable damage onto a tank if placed directly onto it. This loadout is also equipped with 2 smoke grenades to assist with providing visual cover when approaching an enemy vehicle or to cover your advance. This loadout does not carry a wrench, so engineers that are using the Sapper loadout are unable to build any fortifications, resource nodes, or other structures. As for my personal opinion regarding the Sapper loadout compared to the standard issue, I personally feel that the Sapper loadout is entirely situational. Since this loadout lacks the ability to place blueprints to build fortifications, I feel that it's best used on a defensive strongpoint where fortifications are already established and after resource nodes are built. I also feel that some of the weapons used highlight this playstyle very well. The shotgun for the United States and the MP40 for Germany are excellent for close quarters and defending an objective. With this being said, I personally use the standard issue class to build fortifications and nodes, and then I switch to the Sapper class when needing to defend an objective. The United States exclusively has a third class for the Engineer, which is unlocked at Engineer level 6. This loadout is called Field Engineer. This loadout is similar to the standard issue role, with the exception of the weapon and the explosives. Instead of the M1 carbine, the Field Engineer loadout is equipped with the N3 grease gun, and instead of AP and AT mines, this loadout comes with both fragmentation and smoke grenades. Personally, I use the Field Engineer over the standard issue when I'm playing an offensive or attempting to take a point for the team. While I feel that having the submachine gun and grenades help attempting to take an objective, I highly prefer using the mines on defense compared to the grenades. So now that we've covered the weapons and equipment that the Engineer role uses, let's talk more in detail about resource nodes. As I mentioned previously, resource nodes can be built exclusively by the Engineer role, and they generate resources every 60 seconds for the commander to utilize for certain abilities. In addition to nodes generating resources, they can also help the cooldown of certain equipment if a teammate walks in close proximity to them. As an example, a support role's timer for their supplies is cut in half when they approach within 50 meters of an active manpower resource node. Speaking of, there are 3 different types of nodes, one for each category of resource. The 3 categories for resources are manpower, munitions, and fuel. I'll speak more in detail about what each category of resource can do and how it's used on the team in another video. However, I'm just going to give a brief description of the abilities that can be used by the commander for these resources for context. The munitions resource can be used to spawn supply drops, recon planes, as well as strafing or bombing runs. The manpower resource node can be used to spawn things such as airheads, as well as instantly removing outdated garrisons to be replaced. Finally, the fuel resource can be used to spawn vehicles such as supply trucks, recon vehicles, half-tracks, as well as light and heavy tanks. Once placed down, the resource node will start generating the desired resources every 60 seconds. Please keep in mind that building a node costs 50 supplies, so it's required to have supplies within 50 meters of your current position before building any nodes or other fortifications. Please keep in mind that nodes cannot be placed within 50 meters of each other. As an example, if you're trying to place down a manpower node, you are not able to place it within 50 meters of another engineer's active manpower resource node. I cover the different kinds of ways to get supplies and describe more in detail on how supplies are used in my support role guide, which you can watch by clicking here or by clicking the link in the description of the video. Other than resource nodes, engineers can use their wrench to build fortifications that can dramatically increase the defensive capability of an area. Once the blueprint is placed down, anybody with a hammer can build the fortification, as long as there are supplies nearby. Once built, some fortifications can be upgraded to be stronger. This is also done by using the hammer. The number of supplies required to build or upgrade a fortification differ depending on what the fortification actually is. However, the supplies are required to be within 50 meters of the blueprint or fortification in order for the upgrading or building to work. I'm going to quickly describe the different kinds of fortifications just for context. Fortifications include barbed wire that can slow down enemy infantry. Bunkers and barricades can provide cover in an area that has wide open space. A Belgian gate or a bulldog are steel fortifications that are used to block roads for vehicles. And finally, the engineer can also build a repair station, which repairs any vehicle that enter a 10-meter radius of it. No matter what fortifications you decide to build, it is a good idea to ensure that there are adequate supplies around. In addition, other classes that are equipped with a hammer, such as support, can assist you with building the blueprints that you place down, which decreases the time that it takes to build or upgrade fortifications. Finally, let's discuss some tips and tricks that I was able to pick up playing as the engineer role. My first tip is, if you're attempting to place down supplies from a supply truck, ensure that the supplies are not dropped right next to another player's resource nodes. Please keep in mind that the nodes can't be built within 50 meters of each other, so having the supplies a little bit further away from another set of nodes will make it easier for yourself or another engineer to place nodes down. The second tip I actually learned from a video made by Gabatron Gaming, where he also covers supplies more in detail. I'll also leave a link to his video in the description if you would like to learn more about supplies. However, every fortification or node requires that you're within 50 meters of a supply source in order to be built. A way to actually see that you're within 50 meters is to look at your HUD. If you can see this white supply symbol, you're within 50 meters. When the symbol disappears, it means that you're outside of this range. This is a very quick and effective way to tell if you're in proximity to supplies. My next tip is, when playing the defensive team on an offensive game mode, it's a good idea to go back 1 or 2 points from the front line in order to start building fortifications. This gives you, as an engineer, adequate time to begin fortifying a point for defense. If the front line is pushed back, however, keep on the lookout for enemy recon or other squads attempting to flank to the next point. For the next tip, if you're looking for supplies to start building resource nodes, the supplies appear on the map as this white icon. Hovering your mouse over this icon shows you how many supplies are at that current location. This is a great way to discover where the supplies were dropped at so you can go build your nodes. The blowtorch is very useful for being able to repair tanks without one of the crew members having to get out and repair it themselves. With this being said, when repairing a tank, use the tank as cover. Go prone and position yourself away from the enemy so there's less of a chance that you can get killed while repairing the vehicle. Finally, AP mines are great to use in places where there's a gap in fortifications. As an example, on the sides of barbed wire where a person can fit through, an AP mine is good there. AP mines are also great to use in doorways, since it's most likely the enemy will go inside the building to take cover once approached. And that's all I have for this guide. I would like to thank you guys for watching. These class guides have been received really well by the community, and I also would like to thank those that have watched and provided feedback for me. If you did enjoy this video and would like to see more guides, I ask that you leave a like on this video. This helps the video with the YouTube analytics, as well as it shows me personally that you've enjoyed the video. I have a few other class guides in Hell Let Loose and plan to make more, so I went ahead and made a playlist on my channel, which I'll link here as well as in the description for these Hell Let Loose guides. Again, thank you for watching and have fun inside of Hell Let Loose.
Okay, I'm not that FG guy. Jesus.